So because these typical spade terminals make a very good fit to replace your typical blade fuse, which is this one. So yeah, basically the end of this fuse is almost exactly the same as that spade clip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crimp the spade terminal using these rather ancient crimpers. Here we go. So one spade terminal on the end of a test lead. Another one coming up in a second. Okay, two crimped on spade terminals, and I'm going to put this in ammeter mode. I'm going to put this into the fuse. Into the fuse box. So when I switch everything on, I should be able to get a reading how much current the fuel pump is taking, because this fuse is in series with the fuel pump. There's actually two fuel pumps because there's also a swirl tank, and I'll see how much that is. It's better. Right. Start. And as you can see, we have 10 amps going to the fuel pump. I wonder if it changes if I rev the engine up. Not really. Right, so I've done a similar thing. I've put the spade terminal test probes into the fuse box instead of the fuse that runs the ECU. So let's do the same thing again. Start it and see how much current. Okay, this is showing just about 1 amp. I'm going to rev the engine up. Yeah, so that's 2.5 amps on a 4-cylinder engine. You can imagine that being maybe 4 amps on a 6-cylinder engine, plus the 10 amps that may be the same, so that's kind of 14 amps just to run the engine itself. Now that's a figure which I have had trouble discovering. 14 amps continuous load on the alternator, assuming you don't want to discharge the battery, and anything else you have running is obviously in addition to that. Things like lights, fans, and so on and so on. With modern lights being LEDs, I'm wondering whether I might be homing in on a figure. So as part of my current loading calculation, you might even call it a power budget, I'm going to measure the current draw from an LED headlamp, which I have here. Bought some time ago. So here are a pair of those. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect it to a power supply. and see how much current is taken. Oh, there's one, and there's the other. Okay, so I shall put my ammeter in series and see what we get. Here we go. I'm not sure if this is main or dip. I'll point it away from you. I'm not sure if it's main or dip, to be honest with you, but it's showing 0.9 of an amp. And then the other side, .46 of an amp. So I call it half an amp and 1 amp, really, main and dip. Or dip and main, perhaps I should say. Of course there's 2 of these. Well, that's it for this particular little experiment. So a bit more, I've got a LED stop and tail light. Now I'm not totally sure I'm going to use these, but it'll certainly do as a model of what it could look like. So that's obviously an indicator light, and it looks like it's drawing 55 milliamps. 55 milliamps. And I imagine the rest of them are the same as that. 55 milliamps from an indicator light. 58 from a stop light. So 58 for a stop light. 45 for a tail light, and 55 for an indicator light. Obviously I can multiply those up according to how I expect to use them. Right, I need something really heavy now, like a fan. Could be a bit more tricky to organise. And finally, for this sequence of experiments, how much power is taken by the an electric fan. Let's see. Yeah, I've spliced it in correctly. Yeah, it's a bit less than I thought it might be actually. Well, what came undone then? Something came undone. Oh, there it is. So this is the radiator fan. And it was taking about 6 amps.